How's it going, everyone? It is a great honor to present to you Mr. Greg Andrews. He's a multimedia journalist, producer, anchor, production assistant. I could say almost a jack of all trades, but it's an honor to have him here. Greg,
Thank you.
how's it going, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. So I gotta ask, you're attending Full Sail University. Have you met Dan Patrick? And if so, how he's like?
So I have not met him in the flesh, but I have met him over several Zoom meetings. He is exactly how you would think he is. A very personable, incredibly knowledgeable. A lot of people, my God, excuse me, I don't know how old you are, but and the people that are listening, but for all of you guys who are under the age of, I would say 25 or under the age of 30. Dan Patrick wasn't just a Sports Center, ESPN, and has his own show kind of guy. He started off with CNN. He was a news anchor and a news reporter to begin, but he is as personable, friendly, ultra knowledgeable, and hardworking as you could ever imagine a person in this industry being.
Yeah, I'm a person, I'm over 30, so but regardless, like I'm a person that loves history, whether it's sports, movies, or whatever. I love learning history about anything and everything. So Dan Patrick, he's been doing this for such a long time. And he did mention recently in an interview with Ernie Johnson from NBA on TNT, and they were basically talking about retirement, heading for the exit door. And Dan Patrick is giving himself probably like 3 to 4 years or something like that. But he's been doing it such a long time.
Yeah.
He does a great with his job. I've always been a fan of Dan Patrick and his professionalism as a journalist. So, and I'm always tuning in for his show, The Dan Patrick Show. So when I heard about Full Sail, which was about a few years now, it was through him because of some ad that I saw. So I said, "Oh, interesting, interesting." But he's fantastic. He's one of those few old school sports journalists that I still watch to this day. Him, Jim Nance, Ernie Johnson. I'm a fan of all
Rico,
of
I'm
those.
sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, I watch all the same guys and have the utmost respect for them, and that's try to who the individuals I try to emulate as much as I can is those individuals because, like you said, I try to be a jack of all trades. I want to be the Swiss Army knife of not just sports reporting, but even news in general. If it's so, if it means it's going to happen at a specific day, the one thing that I learned was it doesn't matter if you're a sports reporter or a news reporter or whatever it might be. If news is breaking, you're going to be called upon in that instant. If I'm in a news studio and all of a sudden the producer is there and is like, "Hey, I just got over the wire that, something's happening here and I got nobody here but you to report on it. I need you to put your pack on, go over there, put your IFB in your ear and head out the door and go check out what's happening and report on it now." That's how it has to be in this industry. It doesn't matter what you are actually doing as your profession, if it's specifically sports or if it's just football or whatever, you might be called upon in any situation. So you got to have your big boy pants on and get ready to go and be able to report on anything.
Good advice. And it's great to be a jack of all trades. I'm
Yeah.
considering myself a jack of all trades as well. I like sports, movies, music, business, travel, etc. So with my brand, I try to write articles because I'm a writer. So therefore, I try to write everything that captures my attention, but as well as study publications, whether it's Yahoo Sports, Wall Street Journal, the list goes on and on. I just love learning. I love history about anything. And that's what it's all about. You never finish learning. It's always good to continue to learn and always network with people that are much more knowledgeable and smarter than you. And that's a big factor. So as
Absolutely.
long as you keep doing those things, because we can only control what we can control. So consistency is very key in any industry. And I could see that a person like yourself, who just by well, I won't say just by, but the fact that you're in this institution, Full Sail, that's a big step, and it's just the beginning of so many other things that'll be coming for you as long as you keep that hunger, that that competitive juice flowing, and everything else. Then everything will come out great. But how did it all start? This your passion for sports, for getting in sports journalism in general. Was it someone or was it a particular game or what is it?
My whole life, I've been an athlete. Um, it was not the conventional sports that we think of, the four big ones: basketball, baseball, hockey, football in the United States, and now soccer starting to become more prevalent here. I was actually a swimmer and a water polo player growing up. I played some lacrosse. I dabbled in pretty much all the sports. I'm not going to talk about basketball. That's the one sport I just was not able to play at all. I just did not have the coordination for it for some reason. But for me, I always had this fascination with sports. Growing up, I would go to my grandparents' house and like our whole family would watch. Excuse my son in the background. I apologize. He's only 4 and just came home from school. I apologize. Um,
No problem,
yeah,
man. God bless the
we go to
family.
my grandparents' house on the weekends. We would watch Northwestern football. We'd watch the Bears play. I grew up in Chicago, and so football was a big part of our household. Same thing with the Cubs and the Blackhawks, and obviously the Bulls with Michael Jordan. And I was just always a big time sports fan. And as I got older, I became more, I wouldn't say infatuated, but very interested in statistical analysis. One of the things I pride myself on is I like to dig deeper. One thing that the instructors at Full Sail do is they say, listen, finding a sidebar, an angle that maybe not be so quintessential that everybody else is picking up on and writing or creating videos and packages on. You have to think a little bit deeper and get more in thought of what you're going to do. I'll give you a good example. The Tiger Woods story that everybody's talking about, his ruptured Achilles. Is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back? Being at his age and everything, father time knows no man, but he is one man that defies him consistently because he's been injured just about every other year of his career, it feels like. And when I reported on it, I was bringing in the ruptured Achilles, yes, but the story and the angle is more of he is a man that has defied so much based upon what his body has been giving up. And as he's gotten older, obviously these injuries become more frequent. He has become this robotic kind of human being that, okay, he's injured, goes through his rehabilitation, comes back, gets back on tour, does what he can, gets hurt again, goes back through rehabilitation. It's this vicious cycle that he keeps doing, but he's so determined. That is what I was really reporting on. And when the reason why I'm saying this is because my love for all things sports takes me to a point of I'm fascinated with trying to find something deeper than what people are just seeing with the naked eye. That is what I've loved about sports. And my grandparents, my parents, and like I said, as I got older, I've always been great with numbers. I do have other degrees. I'm not going to really talk about it. It's like finance and things like that. So I'm a numbers guy. But for me, it's always been dig deep, find things that I can educate people on. A lot of it's usually statistical. But if I can, try to dig around, even if I don't have, the most connections with, the NBA or NFL or whatever it might be. There's always a way to find more information. There's always things hidden in like the penumbras of statistics that you see from a game or a season or a storyline that might be there. You might be able to say, hey, I can wrap something else into what is being just reported on by everybody. But my love for sports has always been there. It hasn't been just a single moment or anything. It's been moments. It's been family getting together and just throwing ourselves into the emotions of watching a game, no matter what the sport is. And it's funny because I didn't get into this profession until literally like the last 3 years. And I'm 41 years old. So it's like, it took me some time. And had I known 20 years ago, I obviously would have been doing this. But to me, this fascination with how sports has changed, that's really when I was like, okay, I really want to get into this. I'm very knowledgeable. I love this. It excites me. This is not a job. One of the things Dan Patrick says, he's like, listen, when you're here, your time as a student, you're not a student. This is a job. This is technically your first job. And what you're supposed to do here is act like that. The fast-paced industry that we are in, the schedules that you're on, the time frames, the windows that you have to stick to, you need to be on top of your game. If you are not going to succeed in this business. And for me, I love sports. I love writing on it. It's not a job. It's not, if I do 6, 7 hours focusing on one thing I'm trying to write on, it goes by like that. And that's what I love about being a writer, videographer, photographer, reporter. just sports just have always fascinated me, and they're going to continue to do so. I just love it. I love it. This job is amazing.
I like that enthusiasm, and I agree. And great advice by Dan Patrick, that the fact that he set the tone for you guys, for those students, that you're not here as a student, this is your first job. I like that. Is very rare for a journalist that will teach aspiring journalists to say
Well,
that.
I'm
Very
telling you,
rare, but
he's
I absolutely
very
agree. You
passionate.
have to wake up every single day loving what you do. If it feels like a job, then it's not for you, you know?
Exactly. That's
And
exactly what
I
he.
wake up every day. I love, I'm always looking forward to variety of things, working out, reading the Bible, writing sports articles, content creating, podcasting. These are things I love doing. I love doing it, and it's not a drag. It feels like a drag, then you should stop doing it and find
Exactly.
something else. And the fact that you got into this field later in your career, I would say that it's never a bad thing, because we have seen in history so many times from so many different people that they got, let's say, their first role at the age of 52, or their major role at the age of 52, like Morgan Freeman, um, Cornell Sanders at the age of 65 started at KFC. So there is no time limit. I ignore
Age is
anybody
just
at
a
age.
number.
There's no
Just a number.
limitations. No limitations. There's never late for anything. So
I
I'm
see
glad
it as
to
a
hear that.
competitive
I'm
advantage.
glad. Yeah, I'm
That's
glad
what
to
I
hear
see it.
that, and thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean it's the competitive advantage. The instructors that I've had have all said to me the same thing. And I've had a lot of other professions that I've done. I was a professional bass player for 10 years. And so I played in front of fans and stuff, and that's why I'm comfortable in front of the camera. Um, I I've done so many different things in my life. I've been very blessed. You know, I was an actor model when I was really young in my early 20s, things like that. So again, I have some of that experience, and my instructor have said that, like, listen, that experience, that maturity that you show, that ability to understand how to shape yourself and get ready for any sort of circumstance that you're going to be thrown into, is something that the people that don't have just life experience have. He's like, that is kind of what separates a candidate that, like me, that may not have a ton of experience, like this laundry list of things to add to my resume. But if I'm in front of a person, I mean, you probably know this very well, as most of us do. In any profession, if your resume, excuse my language, if it just stinks and you don't have much there, do not fret. Don't be worried like you're not going to be able to get a position. Your resume, everybody has to get that first shot. If you are personable, if you are empathetic, if you are a leader and you know you are, and you're able to show that when you are being interviewed, you can take yourself as far as you want to be. Someone will give you that chance. You're going to hear no so many times in your life. It takes one yes. That's all it takes. Knock on the doors, keep sending those emails, keep calling, do everything you can, because it just takes one time, guys. And I've had that beautiful thing happen to me where, yeah, no, no, no. Excuse me. I just started working with Digest Media. I'm doing the Florida Panthers digest with them. I'm going to start hosting that show, and I had another interview with a company, and the interview went wonderful, and I'm sharing the story because I want people to understand. One company said yes, Digest Media. 2 days after my interview, they were supposed to do a follow up. They're like, we don't need to. You're good. We want you. We want you to head that channel for Florida Panthers. The other company that I interviewed with got back to me about 3 days later, and they were like, you know, we loved your interview, we loved your personality, your resume. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We love it, but we're not going to go through with your application at this point. It was an incredibly difficult decision that we didn't want to have to make, but we had to at this point. And that's the thing. It's like you're always going to hear no more than you're going to hear yes. Does it deter me? No. And in fact, I would say it pushes me to work harder. So when those guys come back and let's say I start to have big things happen, they'll say, man, we missed out on an opportunity with that guy. That's the mentality you have to have is, you know what? I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be better. I'm going to work harder. That is the nature of the game. That is the nature of life. That's what you have to do because someone's you always have to be better than someone else.
Enough
Competition
said.
never
Yep.
stops. Dan Patrick, gosh, I can't tell you how many videos and times that he spoke and said, someone's always gunning for your job, man. Someone's always going to be better. That's the nature of any business in life. That's it. But yeah, that's all right. I went on a tangent there. Sorry about that.
No, that was absolutely beautiful, man. I mean, you said it best. You said it best. So, and that's another thing. There's two things. Number one is never to fill your head that I'm up here and you're down here. No, because in any field, in any industry, any career, no matter what type of job it is, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be better than you. But you just got to do the best you can and control what you can control. That's why to this, I reached a point in my life when we're talking about goal conversations. I just say every decade, every era, there's gonna have a goal. Like it get as the older I get, the more tougher it becomes to just name one
Yes.
goal for each sport.
Yes.
So, and I used to think of, okay, who's the goal for this sport, this sport, this sport. But to be honest with you, man, now that I'm sitting at the age of 33, going to 34, who cares? There's more than one goal in every sport,
Well,
and
look,
that's the
look,
beauty
Tom
about
Brady,
and that's the beauty about
such a great
sports. There's
example.
goats in every
Mhm.
position, every that's the beauty of it. That's how I look at it. I'm one of those rare sports guys that I look at everything. I don't just focus on one thing. I look at everything. For example, just an example. Um, let's say Timberwolves Nuggets, they played recently. It went to double overtime. Minnesota won by 1 point, 140 to 139. Everyone, mainstream media, they're piling up on Russell Westbrook because of his decision making, him missing layups. I did not view that. I looked at it, okay, the Nuggets had a double digit lead late in the fourth quarter. You let Anthony Edwards get hot. He brought them back. And then you went to double overtime. Little things like that, giving up a double digit lead. Jokic, even though he had a great game, monster game, but down the stretch, he missed one of two free throws.
Yeah.
That was crucial. So that's the kind of person I am. I look at everything. I don't just focus on what happened right at the end. No, I look at everything from start to finish because it's things like that is what can change the outcome of the game later
Of
on.
course.
So, but that's the number one thing. There's goats in many different areas and many there's more than one. That's why you can never act like, oh, I'm better than you or you're nothing to me, you're beneath me. It's not good to have that mentality. There's always going to be people that are going to be better, more smarter, more everything. And
Always.
number two, earlier you mentioned, you grew up in Chicago. I had the pleasure of going to Chicago back in summer 2019 for vacation. And it was a very short vacation, and I had a great time exploring a new city, amazing city. I was mostly in
Beautiful.
downtown Chicago. I
You went at
saw
the
a
right
Cubs
time
game.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a Cubs game, had a great time
Oh,
there.
beautiful.
And I passed by so many venues like the Chicago Theater. Um, so many things. I mean, and that's a city I would love to go back and explore more. Hopefully catch a Bulls game there the next time I go there. And
Definitely.
that leads me to the next question. Where, in terms of defense, would you say the 1985 Bears is the best defensive team you ever seen? Or do you feel that there is another defensive team that can challenge them for that title?
This is the thing. Um, I was two in the 85 Bears season.
But we love history.
I've
We love
I've
history.
I've got a great story to tell you because growing up being a Chicago everything fan, I hate to say it except for the White Sox. Um old Comiskey Park, but when you're talking about football and the greatest defenses of all time, Purple People Eaters. You can talk about, some of Green Bay's defenses. You could talk about the 85 Bears. It's so hard to say what was the best defense. I mean, you could look, the 72 Dolphins, they have the only undefeated season ever. Their defense was great too, but different eras, different times, the rules changed, the players changed, the size, the speed, the hitting. I mean, there's so much change that's been inevitable. You can't, I don't think you could definitively throw some team out there and say that they were the absolute best. The story I was going to say is when I was a child, my mom met Wilbur Marshall, number 58 for the Bears. He played from, I think it was like 1983 to like the mid 80s. And he also played for the Washington Redskins from back in the day. Excuse me, I'm not trying to offend people. That's literally the name that they were. And he won two Super Bowls. He won one with the Redskins and he won one with the Bears in 85. And so I used to Wilbur Marshall used to come over to our house. My mom met him at a vet. He took his dog in there. My mom took our dog in there and she met him there and was just like, "You're a big guy. Who are you?" Blah, blah, blah. They, shot it off a little bit and they became friends. And he kind of became a family friend of ours when I was young. And I remember watching videos. He had a very big play in one of the games. I think it was in the Super Bowl. I think it was in 85. He had a fumble return for a touchdown. Number 58. He had a big white neck pad that he wore behind him. And their team was something special. That defense was special with Mike Singletary. Like I said, Wilbur Marshall, the offense, Walter Payton, Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I'm sorry, it wasn't Jim Harbaugh. My apologies. It wasn't. It was oh my God, it's so long ago I can't even think the quarterback's name. Jim McMahon. That's who it was. And their defense was incredible. But that was a time when roughing the passer, you have to kill a guy. Kill a guy. If that defense went up today, Patrick Mahomes would retire. And there is no way to definitively say that one team was better than the other defensively. I would say from the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, the Purple People Eaters that were the Vikings defenses back in the day, they are all have their incredible moments of greatness that could put their hat in the ring of greatest of all time. But the eras are so different, so different. The talent is different as well. Again, I'm a guy of stats, so if I went back to it and I was like, okay, let's compare the stats for their technically greatest years, and let's see how many yards did they give up, how many pass deflections, how many interceptions. But again, not all of these stats were being kept back in the day. Some of them were non-existent then. It was just like, oh yeah, okay, it's a pass breakup. Nobody's gonna jot that down on a piece of paper. Now they do things like that. So I would say, yeah, were they one of the best? Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the best, yes. I would say top three, 100%. But you could move those top three in any way, shape, or form and make an argument to say that they were the greatest for, XYZ reasons. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to have some fun since you're a Chicago native.
I
But
appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like I said, I stick to my word. I can't just pick just one. But
It's tough. In any
yeah,
sport, it's tough.
yeah, yeah. I've seen so many great defensive teams during my time, literally through my TV screen, such as the 2000 Ravens team,
Yeah.
the 2002
Oh,
Bucks
yeah.
team,
The Ed
the
Reed, Ray Lewis
yeah.
days. My goodness.
Yeah, the 2013 Seahawks team, Legion of Boom, great defensive team. I've seen so many, but every era is different, and the rules are so much different compared to those vicious 70s, 80s.
I would
Jesus
say
Christ, I've seen many
lean
clips
more
of that 85
towards
Bears team, and their style of play was just
That's what I'm
oh
saying. Lean
yeah,
towards, to me, I lean towards the older generations for those teams just because the game was more physical. A hell of a lot more physical, excuse my French, but it was just so if you look at tape and then you compare it to the defenses from the early 2000s and you take the tapes from the 70s and the 80s and you see these defenses. Tell me how many times you watch in the last 20 years guys getting on the field and literally they have blood coming out from their arms, their face, wherever, and they're still playing through it. Tell me times when like the Sean Taylors and I played football against him in high school down here in South Florida. He went to
Wow,
Gulliver, I went to
interesting.
Ransom.
Wow.
And his hits, again, the eras are so different. The way these players play today compared to where they used to be. I'm not going to call them soft at all because I played football and it is not a soft sport by any means. The rules make it softer, not the players. The players still want to hit the crap out of each other, okay? They really, really do. And I've seen it, and they get flagged for it. And that's why the game is essentially soft. It is not the players, it's the rules. And they're doing it for player safety. But I look back and I just say those guys from those teams had it so much harder. It was a grueling physical season, I would say 10 times more than it is today. And that's what people have to think of. Look at the tape, prove me wrong, and say that, oh, yo, there's teams this, in the last 25 years that were better than the ones from the 70s and 80s. Eras are different, rules change, game changes. That's the hardest thing that you have to go by is how do you really want to rub it? How do you really want to paint the picture of best defense or best team even? Because yeah, by record, the Dolphins 72 team was the best team by record. Yeah. But you can maybe say that there were other teams that technically, like the Patriots, that almost went undefeated, lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. They could have been the best team ever. They just had that one loss. I could say they were the best team to ever play football instead of the 72 Dolphins, but the record doesn't say it. They had that one black eye, and that's it.
Well, Greg, to wrap it up, we're gonna play a little game.
Oh, let's do
So
it.
it's something very rapid. So you just gotta pick one or the other. So you ready?
I'll do my best.
Hmm. Print journalism or digital journalism?
Digital.
Waffles or pancakes?
Oh, pancakes for me.
If given the opportunity, I don't know if you've been to New York before, but
I have.
and I've heard this debate so many times, but I'm curious. Which pizza would you try, or you would say you would pick any day? New York pizza or Chicago pizza?
Oh, that is hard. I hate to go against my city, but I'm gonna say New York pizza. We got a New York pizza place down here called Morrow's, and they're the giant slices with the thin crust and it's so good. I love my deep dish, but man, there's nothing like a nice New York slice. You just, get it on the street somewhere from those small shops, and it's just oh, so good.
Hmm. Two more. Um, Name me your top three travel destinations that you haven't been to but you want to. That's on your bucket list.
Portugal, Ibiza, and oh man, probably New Zealand. Never been. I really
Ooh,
want to go.
that's a good one. New Zealand's a good one. Last but not least, name me at least five sports figures, dead or alive, that you would love to sit down and have a chat with.
Oh man, Kobe Bryant, number one, absolutely number one. Arnold Palmer, um, Pele. Oh man, that's such a tough one. Wow, that's really tough. Oh, Ryan Sandberg. I would love to talk to Ryan Sandberg. He's such a great Cubs figure.
Yeah, Chicago legend right there.
Oh yeah, big time Chicago legend. Who else? Man, Dan Marino for sure. Is that five, or am I needing one more? Right?
You just gave me five, but I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna give you an honorable mention.
An honorable mention. Okay. The last one, I would say Shaquille O'Neal. He's just such a big personality. It'd be one of the funnest interviews I think I would ever do in my life.
Nice, nice. I like the fact that you mentioned Arnold Palmer and Pele. Arnold Palmer, he's one of the best to ever grace the sport of golf. So not too many people will know who he is, but He is
It's the
such an
same thing
important
with
figure.
Pele, believe it or
He's
not.
and Pele as well. Those are two big names right there. But that's a good list
I
that
bet
you
you thought I was
mentioned.
gonna say Messi just because I live in Miami.
Those are good options. I mean, hey, there's so many great sports figures, dead or alive, but great options, man, great options. Okay, what's your best advice? And this is the last one to end the interview. What advice would you give to anyone that wants to get in sports that feel that their time is running out? Yeah, I would say that they feel that their time is running out or they feel that they're not good enough. What
Look,
advice would you give those aspiring sports journalists?
in this industry, like you had said earlier, it's never too late. Age is just a number. The only thing that I would tell you is you've got to get your reps. You've got to work your butt off in this industry. It's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Wherever you start, no matter if it's for a local news station, if it's, a local blog, or you're working for just some small company that goes through YouTube or whatever it is, every opportunity is an opportunity nonetheless. Um, Ryan Russillo said it the best. He was like, listen, when I first started off and I got my first shot to work for ESPN, he's like, I was living about 3.5 hours south of Bristol, Connecticut. I got the call one day that they needed me to come over and I was going to be an analyst on one of their shows. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning. They called him. He's like, I got my butt in my car and I drove 3 hours to Bristol, Connecticut to get ready. He's like, then I drove home after a 9 hour day. They called me the next day, about 4 hours after I got home, to drive back to Bristol, Connecticut and do it again. And he's like, every opportunity is an opportunity. If you pass it up, you might have just missed that one break. It's never too late. I said this already. You're going to hear no. You're always going to hear it more than yes. But take the opportunity. If you get that yes and you're like, well, it's not that great, it's an opportunity. Don't let it go to waste because it could be that one thing, that one chance that someone else sees and then someone else sees. And it's your big opportunity. Take it. Take everything you can without trying to burn yourself out. Don't do like 8 different things all at the same time. It's gonna be too much for you to handle. Know your limits, but take every opportunity you can. Nothing is ever too short, too late, too far, whatever it is. Find a way to make things happen because this industry, you've gotta work your butt off for everything, man. Everything. Everything.
What's the guy's name? Ryan what? From
Ryan
ESPN?
Russillo.
Priscilla. Okay.
I think it's Rusillo. ILLO.
All right.
He's a wonderful, wonderful reporter.
All right. Definitely will look into that. Greg, it was an honor to speak with you today. Thank you so much for joining the Respect the Praise show. I respect and salute to everything that you're doing. Keep going. And you're an example of someone that didn't let their age or other people's success rush to whatever it is that you're doing. So keep it up, keep that hunger, keep that tenacity going. And, looking forward to see how these next few years will treat you. But
As my
keep improving, keep learning at Full Sail, and just keep going, man. That's the best I can say. Keep
Hey,
going.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done. And the opportunities. Here's one more piece of advice I'll say before we get off of here. No matter what phase you are, if you're in school, you're just starting, you're in the middle of it, you're about to finish. If you're going to start a career in this, start looking for things to do well before you're done. Open the doors. You have to open them first. Don't get it towards the end because it could be too late. Start working on things as soon as you can. Again, you might get passed up on nine times out of 10, but that one time is all it's going to take. Just start working as soon as you can, build a portfolio, put yourself out there, get a podcast, get a YouTube channel, whatever it is, guys. That is the biggest thing that will get your name out there is just doing something. Like you said, be consistent, Try to work on whatever you can in every facet, blog it, YouTube, podcast, whatever you can, do it. Do it.